Most people believe that if they're going to become somebody, it should happen early. By your 20s, you should know who you are. By your 30s, you should have something to show for it. A career, a relationship, a clear direction. And if you're still confused, still searching, still trying to figure out where you belong, it feels like you've already missed your chance. Like everyone else received a map, and somehow you didn't. But what if that's the illusion? What if the people who appear lost the longest sometimes become the most complete? Carl Jung spent much of his life studying a question that still haunts people today. Why do some individuals seem to find themselves early, while others spend decades feeling disconnected from their own lives? His answer was surprising. Some people are not meant to become themselves quickly. They were meant to become themselves deeply, and depth always takes longer. The tragedy is that these people often spend years believing they are failing, when they're actually becoming. Imagine a man in his late 30s. His friends are advancing in their careers, buying homes, starting families. Every reunion feels like evidence that he's behind. When people ask where his life is going, he struggles to answer. What nobody sees is the battle taking place beneath the surface, a battle many people avoid their entire lives. The battle of discovering who he really is, not who he was rewarded for being, not who others expected him to become, who he is beneath all of it. And that brings us to the first sign. You could never fully become what other people expected you to be. You tried. Most people do. You followed sensible paths, made practical decisions, tried to fit into roles that seemed right. But eventually something inside resisted. The more you ignored it, the heavier life became. Jung called the social mask we were the persona. The persona helps us function in the world. But there is a danger. If you spend too long living through the mask, you eventually forget who is wearing it. And this is where many people get trapped. They become successful before they become themselves. They build careers they never wanted, chase goals they never chose, create identities they don't recognize. And one day they wake up surrounded by achievements, yet feel strangely absent from their own lives. The second sign is that your growth happened where nobody could see it. This is the stage that feels the most frustrating, because externally, it looks like nothing is happening. You change directions. You start over. You question everything. Meanwhile, other people seem certain. But certainty is not always wisdom. Sometimes certainty is conformity. And sometimes the people moving fastest are simply following roads they never questioned. While you are wrestling with deeper questions, who am I without expectations? What do I genuinely want? What am I pretending to care about? These questions don't create immediate success, but they create something more important, a foundation that belongs to you. The third sign is that you've always felt slightly out of place. Even among people who care about you, even in rooms where you belong, there was often a quiet feeling that something didn't quite fit. At first, this feels like a flaw. But Jung noticed that greater awareness often begins this way. Because once you start seeing beneath the surface, simple answers stop satisfying you. You notice contradictions. You sense what others ignore. You begin questioning assumptions most people accept without thinking. And while that awareness can become a strength, it often begins as loneliness. Which leads to the fourth sign. Loneliness changed you. Not all loneliness is destructive. Some loneliness is developmental. Some seasons of isolation force you to stop looking outward for permission. They force you to confront yourself. And that's uncomfortable. Because the person you meet there may not match the image you've spent years presenting to the world. Many people spend their entire lives avoiding that encounter, distracting themselves, numbing themselves, staying busy enough to never ask the deeper questions. But those who face it often discover something remarkable. Their worth no longer depends on approval. Their identity no longer depends on comparison. Their direction no longer depends on permission. And that's when life begins to move differently. Not because everything becomes easier, but because the conflict inside starts to disappear. For the first time, your energy moves in one direction, forward. This is what most people never understand. The years that looked wasted were not always wasted. The confusion had a purpose. The wandering had a purpose. Even the loneliness had a purpose. Because some lives are built quickly, and some lives are built deeply. The quick life often earns admiration. The deep life creates meaning. So if you've spent years feeling late, consider another possibility. Maybe you're not late. Maybe you're doing work that cannot be rushed. Maybe you're becoming someone that cannot be manufactured by expectations, trends, or social pressure. Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Perhaps that's why your path has taken longer. Not because you've fallen behind, but because you're building something many people never find at all. A life that actually belongs to you.